My mother-in-law hated that I got pregnant before her favorite daughter-in-law, so she invited my husband's ex to the baby shower. From the moment I married Alex 3 years ago, I knew I was the wrong kind of daughter-in-law in Evelyn Montgomery's carefully curated world. The wedding itself had been my first clue, Evelyn insisting on calligraphed invitations and a 5-course dinner when Alex and I had wanted something casual. "A Montgomery wedding is an event, dear," she'd said, patting my hand like I was a child who didn't understand basic social conventions. My mother-in-law, with her perfectly highlighted bob and collection of cashmere cardigans, had imagined someone entirely different for her younger son, someone precisely like Danielle, her elder son Michael's wife. Danielle was everything Evelyn valued, Princeton-educated with a degree in art history, soft-spoken with an aristocratic laugh, a dedicated homemaker who somehow managed to look effortlessly polished while organizing charity galas and preparing gourmet meals from scratch. Danielle made the most divine coq au vin last night. Evelyn would gush during our mandatory Sunday dinners. The secret is in reducing the sauce properly. Some women just don't have the patience for proper cooking. Her eyes would inevitably slide to me and my notorious tendency to order takeout. Evelyn called Danielle classy at every opportunity. The two spent weekends at designer sample sales and attending symphony performances, their shared appreciation for the finer things creating a bond that felt impenetrable. They even looked alike somehow, both tall and willowy with careful smiles that never showed too much teeth. Me? I ran my own online business designing and selling sustainable home products that I'd started in my garage apartment during college. I wore comfortable clothes to family functions, laughed without restraint, and found Evelyn's country club circle unbearably pretentious. The endless discussions of vacation properties in the Hamptons and which private schools had the best connections made me want to scream. Alex loved that about me. "You're real," he'd whisper during those interminable dinner parties. "Everyone else here is playing some exhausting role." It was what had drawn us together at a mutual friend's housewarming, my willingness to debate him passionately about environmental policy while everyone else engaged in surface-level pleasantries. The favoritism was relentless, but artfully deployed. Christmas presented the perfect stage for Evelyn's performances. Last year, she'd presented Danielle with a vintage sapphire bracelet that had belonged to Grandmother Montgomery. "It matches your eyes, darling," while I received a generic bath set that still had the Nordstrom rack price sticker partially attached. At family gatherings, Evelyn would interrupt me mid-sentence. "Speaking of renovations, Danielle, tell everyone about your kitchen plans," even if I'd been discussing something entirely unrelated. Family photos inevitably featured me positioned at the edge, easily cropped out when Evelyn changed the displays in her formal living room. "Just ignore her," Alex would say, massaging my shoulders as I fumed on our drive home. "Mom's from a different generation. She'll warm up eventually." She was the same way with Michael's girlfriends before Danielle. But I knew this was different. Danielle had been embraced immediately. The perfect pedigree, the right connections, the appropriate ambitions to be a Montgomery wife. I represented something Evelyn found distasteful, a self-made woman who valued autonomy over tradition. When I discovered I was pregnant after 8 months of trying, Alex and I were ecstatic. We'd been married for 2 years and felt ready to start our family. We decided to share the news at Sunday dinner, hoping that even Evelyn's frosty heart might thaw at the prospect of a grandchild. The Montgomery dining room that evening felt particularly oppressive, all dark wood and ancestral portraits beneath a crystal chandelier that cast more shadows than light. I wore a dress instead of my usual jeans, trying to honor the occasion. "We have some news," Alex announced after the main course, reaching for my hand beneath the polished mahogany table. His eyes were bright with excitement. "Jesse and I are expecting a baby in December." Michael's face broke into a genuine smile. "That's fantastic. Congratulations, you two." He raised his wine glass in our direction. Danielle's reaction was more complex. Her congratulations came with a momentary tightening around her eyes. She and Michael had been married for 5 years without children, though I knew from Alex that they'd been discussing starting a family soon for at least 2 years. But it was Evelyn's response that crystallized everything. She carefully set down her sterling silver fork, dabbed at the corner of her mouth with her linen napkin, and surveyed me with cool assessment. "Well," she said finally, her voice carrying that particular blend of southern sweetness and venom that she'd perfected over decades of social combat. "Some women get too excited to tie their man down. But congratulations, I suppose." She turned to Danielle, without missing a beat. "How was your appointment with Dr. Lawrence last week? Any news?" The message was unmistakable. This pregnancy was inappropriate, out of turn. Danielle should have been first. I was jumping the queue in a line of succession I hadn't even known existed. Alex squeezed my hand under the table as I swallowed the fiery retort burning in my throat. I hadn't gotten pregnant to trap anyone. Alex and I had planned this, wanted this. But in Evelyn's carefully ordered world, I had once again failed to follow the proper protocol. The drive home that night was mostly silent until Alex spoke. "I'm sorry about Mom. That was uncalled for." "It's fine," I lied, watching raindrops race down the passenger window. "I'm used to it by now." But it wasn't fine. And as I placed a protective hand over my still flat stomach, I wondered how much more of Evelyn's subtle undermining I could take, and how her treatment of me would affect our child. 3 months into my pregnancy, morning sickness had finally subsided, and we'd started converting our home office into a nursery when my phone rang with Evelyn's number. I almost let it go to voicemail. Our last interaction at a family dinner had involved her suggesting that my vegetarian diet might harm the baby's development. But curiosity won out. "Jessie, dear," she began, her voice dripping with an uncharacteristic sweetness that immediately put me on guard. "I've been thinking about your baby shower." "Oh," I replied cautiously. "My friend Mia already offered to host something small at her place next month." "Nonsense," Evelyn dismissed with a little laugh. "This is a Montgomery grandchild. I should host your baby shower at the Oakwood Country Club. It's the proper thing to do." I hesitated, twisting the phone cord between my fingers. Every interaction with Evelyn came with strings attached, hooks hidden in seemingly innocent gestures. "That's generous of you," I managed. "It's settled then. Let me handle everything. The country club's garden room is simply divine in summer. You can invite whoever you want, of course." Her tone suggested this was a magnificent concession. "I'll handle the rest. You just show up looking pretty, well, as pretty as possible in your condition." That night, I shared my uneasiness with Alex as we painted the nursery a soft sage green. "I don't know, Alex. Your mother has never shown any interest in celebrating anything about me before. Why start now?" Alex paused, roller in hand. Paint speckled his old Harvard t-shirt, a relic from the law degree he'd abandoned to start his environmental consulting firm, much to Evelyn's ongoing disappointment. "Maybe the baby has changed things," he suggested hopefully. "This is her first grandchild. She must realize she needs to make peace with you if she wants to be involved." I arched an eyebrow at him. "Okay, maybe that's optimistic," he admitted. "But isn't it possible this is her awkward way of extending an olive branch? Mom's never been great at admitting when she's wrong, but she might be trying in her own way." I wanted to believe him. Maybe pregnancy had humanized me in Evelyn's eyes. Maybe this was the beginning of a thaw in our glacial relationship. "You can always change your mind if it gets weird," Alex assured me, leaving a playful smudge of paint on my nose. "I'll be your getaway driver." I agreed, sending Evelyn a list of my closest friends and family, along with preferences for a yellow and light blue color scheme and a playlist of indie folk music that had been getting me through my pregnancy insomnia. The day of the shower arrived with perfect June weather, sunshine filtering through fluffy clouds, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of honeysuckle. I wore a floral maternity dress that made me feel somewhat confident despite my expanding waistline, and Alex dropped me off with a supportive kiss. "Text me if you need a rescue," he joked, squeezing my hand. "I'm just a 10-minute drive away at the office." I should have known something was wrong when the valet parking attendant gave me a confused look as he took my beat-up Subaru among the Mercedes and Jaguars. But it was when I walked into the country club's